For the past 2 weeks, I have been driving the all-new 2026 Kia K4 Hatchback, and this is the GT line turbo trim. And let me tell you, I know it's probably going to kill the metrics of the video, but I don't really care. This is a fantastic vehicle. Hats off to Kia here. I have been swimming in a sea of crossovers and SUVs for the past few months, and it's just always nice to climb into a very nice car, hatchback. Base price for the K4 Hatchback starts at just over $26,000, including destination, and as tested for this exact car here, the GT line with the tech package is just over $32,000. I'll be kind of comparing this with the Honda Civic Hatchback and the Mazda3 Hatchback, both of which I've driven. I actually owned a Honda Civic as well. So like I said, I have been living with this for the past 2 weeks. I normally only get these vehicles for a week, but I like this car so much, I actually asked Kia for an extension just so I could get some additional seat time behind the wheel and confirm my thoughts. I still have a 9-to-5 job, so I've been using this to commute back and forth to work. Every single day I have a half-hour commute one way. I have been running errands, hauling stuff, hauling family around. So I'm gonna be giving you my real-world impressions, and let me tell you, if I was in the market for a new vehicle and if I didn't like my daily driver so much, this would be my #1 choice for sure. This is finished in sparkling yellow, and it's actually a pretty attractive paint. It actually is growing on me. It looks like Dijon mustard, and once again, a huge breath of fresh air to get a car that's not just pastel gray, white, or silver, and it definitely stands out in a parking lot. Starting out at the front here, you do get LED headlights and fog lights, something that you do not get in a Honda Civic. They actually took the fog lights away in 2025 when they introduced the hybrid line, and the fog lights are actually right there, believe it or not. Headlights are super bright at night, proper illumination. You won't have any visibility issues at all. Taking a look at the wheels here, you're wrapped in 235 40R18s with Kumho Majesty 9 Solus TA91 tires. Actually a pretty decent tire. It actually snowed a little bit last week, and I think for the first time ever, I wouldn't rip the OEM tires off a vehicle after purchasing it. I know when I had my 2024 Honda Civic, I ripped off the Goodyear Eagle Sports pretty much immediately because I almost died. Really like how this hatchback is designed. Doesn't really have a bad angle. Got some hips on the side. It's really designed extremely well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trunk here. Got this nice hatch that opens, push of a button, some shocks that open it up, and you're greeted with a pretty decent sized trunk here. This is actually a little bit smaller than the Honda Civic Hatchback and a lot larger than the Toyota Corolla Hatchback and Mazda3 Hatchback. I was able to fit a ton of stuff back here, and I'll insert a clip here right now that shows that. All right, so I am at Lowe's and I just picked up a new lawnmower, and I also did a Costco run, and this is why hatchbacks are superior to sedans. Look at this, I got a big old mower back here, some water, 5-gallon bucket full of car detailing stuff, a dog bed for my puppy, more grocery stuff down there. And on this side, bunch of crap I got to take to Goodwill to donate. As you've seen in the clip, you do get 60/40 folding rear seats. That allows for a lot more cargo space, as you've seen, and a spare tire, something that you actually don't get in the Honda Civic Hybrid. This cargo cover is removable, easily removed by just yanking it out right there and removing these little straps on the back of the hatch. You also get a rear wiper that is hidden underneath the spoiler back here. It does take regular 87 octane fuel, no premium fuel required. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat. You do get the door handle that is up here, and this is my major complaint with this vehicle. If you're standing where you open the door and you open it, it literally opens right into your hip or your nads. I actually busted myself a couple times this week, and it was pretty painful. Then climbing into the back here, pardon the mess, I actually just got home from work, and my stuff's all still back there, but you're greeted with nice synthetic leather two-tone seats. Very nice quality. We'll go ahead and climb back there. Pretty easy ingress as well. You do have to watch your head just a little bit because the roof line's a bit low. I've had a couple people bonk their head because they were just honestly used to SUVs. I'm 6 foot. The driver's seat is in my position. I have plenty of legroom. And if I flip the camera around, you can see my crazy hair. I have plenty of headroom as well, something that I can't say I had in the back of the Mazda3 Hatchback. I was really cramped back there. You also do get some rear vents and rear USB-C ports, which I actually don't think you get in the Mazda3 Hatchback or the Honda Civic Hatchback. You might get USB-C ports, but you don't get vents. I can't remember. Over here, you do get a mat pocket as well. You got these like nice little grab handles. I think they're grab handles or coat hangers, one of the two. You do get a pull down center armrest with a couple cup holders, and you also do get a sunroof that lets in quite a bit of light. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's under the hood real quick. So under the hood of the K4 Hatchback GT line is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder mated to an 8-speed conventional automatic transmission. Makes about 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Gets 26 miles per gallon in the city, 28 combined, and 33 miles per gallon on the highway. I'm really impressed with this powertrain, and if you do a lot of research on it, which I have been doing, this is one of the more reliable powertrains from Kia and Hyundai. We'll get into the driving impressions as we go along the way in the driving test drive portion of this video. This has sat out all night in pretty cold temperatures, 5-10 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperatures, and it warms up in remote start in 10 minutes, something that my Honda Civic did not do, and I know the Toyota Corolla Hatchback doesn't do. I know the temperature gauge on the Toyota Corolla Hatchback goes down as you sit as a traffic lights. All right, let's go ahead and climb into the driver's seat. You do get smart key access on the door. You can also use your smartphone as well to lock and unlock the vehicle and start the vehicle as well. Climbing into the driver's seat, you're greeted with extremely nice, comfortable seats. You can see GT line is embossed in the backrest there. This does have power lumbar as well, and that already makes it a humongous step up over the Honda Civic. Like I said, I owned a 2024 Honda Civic Touring, and is one of the most uncomfortable cars I have ever driven in my entire life. I needed a chiropractic adjustment after 3 hours of riding in that thing. And I have about 20 hours of seat time behind the wheel and 700 miles. And me and my wife both agree this is probably one of the most comfortable, inexpensive sedans on the market today. They are heated and ventilated, something that the Mazda and the Honda Civic does not have. You also do get two-person memory and a heated steering wheel. Now, you can only get the ventilated and heated steering wheel with the technology package, which is, I believe, is $2,300. I would just opt for the technology package. If you're already going to spend that much anyways, you won't regret it. This also does come with a kick butt Harman Kardon sound system. Sounds absolutely incredible. I would rate it a solid B tier, just on par with the Bose in the Mazda and the Honda Civic. So let's go ahead and climb in here. Push button start. All you got to do is put your foot on the brake and hit that button to go. And you're greeted with a very nice infotainment and gauge cluster. Dual 12.3-inch screens. This infotainment does have wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay. You will find that I'm using wired just because that's my preference, but no issues with wireless CarPlay of the few times that I've used it. It does have built-in navigation, as you can see here, and you can also customize some themes. Go ahead and change it to this National Geographic. And yes, going to change the theme here. I think this is pretty cool. I don't know why more manufacturers don't do this, because you have all this, screen. You should be able to customize it and do whatever you want with it. And while it's thinking, you do see the climate controls in between the gauge cluster and the infotainment. I actually think this is a great implementation. I mean, yeah, it gets blocked by the steering wheel for the most part, but I mean, at eye level, which you guys really can't see, all your important stuff is still visible. This is automatic, it's dual zone. So this does take a second to change the theme here. In the gauge cluster, it's a little bit different. There's, some stars and some things all the way across the bottom of the gauge cluster. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's during the day. And then it also changed the theme here. I think it actually looks kind of cool. Made everything a planet. Then coming down through here, you do get your stereo controls, your dual zone climate controls. You do get a wireless charger, a couple USB-C ports, a 12-volt outlet. And look at this, guys, a regular gear selector. That is so awesome. No buttons, no twisty knobs, just a regular gear selector with manual shiftability over here as well. Brake hold, parking sensors. This does have a 360 reverse cam as well, which is something the Honda Civic does not get at all. You do get these nice cup holders that can conveniently slide out of the way if you want some extra storage, or if you don't want extra storage, you just press this button and a cup holder forms. You get a decent size center console as well. And then coming over here, you do get a decent size glove box that is illuminated. You can kind of see some of the ambient lighting that can be customized in the interior here. It's all along the doors, looks really cool at night. Then coming up through here, you do get a manual dimming rear view mirror. No garage home link. There is a option available for the auto dimming function with garage home link, but unfortunately that's not standard, which is a little bit of a bummer. The quality of the materials in here is really good. These cars have just come a long way. And if you notice, there is no gloss black plastic in here, which is a welcome sight. It is nice when a car manufacturer actually listens to customers, something that the Mazda and the Honda actually don't have. And when I owned my Honda, it got scratched up pretty easily. And I know the Mazda press cars that I had, they get churned through the fleet, and these areas here that are high touch get scratched up like that. No squeaks in here, no rattles, and just super impressed with the quality of this interior. If you haven't noticed already, this steering wheel is not round, and I've actually grown to like it this week. No complaints at all. I've driven a few other Kias with the the square-ish steering wheel, and like I said, I actually quite like it. It's heated all the way around. You do have a couple drive modes here. You only get normal and sport, no eco, which is super nice. That's all you need is normal and sport. It is manual tilt and telescoping as well, and you do get some paddle shifters behind the wheel. So with all that being said, I think that about covers everything on the interior. If I forget anything, I'll cover it in the test drive portion of the video, but let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin and see what it's like to drive. All right, so I'm starting to do my full driving impressions portion of the video towards the end of the week, so I get everything and I don't miss anything for you guys. Right now, I have put about 849 miles total on this vehicle and have 24 hours of seat time. I apologize, I actually got sick, so my voice is a little cracky. Also apologize that it's raining. So all that being said, let's go ahead, take this for a drive, and I'll give you my impressions along the way. As we set off here on a very bumpy road, the ride is absolutely incredible. It's not overly firm, but it's not overly soft either. The cars in this class nowadays just continuously blow my mind, and I honestly think this K4 hatch is a leader over this bridge and railroad track and some standing water. Perfectly fine. It's great. There's not a whole lot of reverberations throughout the cabin, especially with the low profile tires that it has. Handles the Ohio potholes just fine, and we've been getting a ton of potholes. A little bit of highway acceleration. Let's floor it. This thing's quick. It gets up to speed just fine. You can also get the K4 hatch with a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and a CVT. I think it would be a little bit more fun and engaging to drive with this powertrain. And here on the highway, 62 miles an hour. It's nice and quiet. I actually had a decibel reader, and at 75 miles an hour on a highway, it was at 68 decibels. I had a 2024 Honda Civic Touring, as you know, and on that same stretch of highway, it was at like 72, 73 decibels. And that is, you may not think that, 72, 73 decibels versus 68 is substantial, but decibels are measured on a logarithmic scale, and that's considerably less road noise and cabin noise in this K4 hatch than that Civic. The Mazda3 hatch is actually pretty quiet as well, but not as quiet as this. This is definitely a class leader in terms of cabin noise and road noise. The Civic I had was just deafening. I mean, even the newer one, even the newer hybrids, they put some foam inside the wheels, and that reduced the cabin noise about 1 decibel. I did a test with that as well, but it's still not as quiet as this. Visibility is really good. Obviously, you get the blind spot cameras that you can't really use when it's raining. But nice big windows, the pillars in the back, for it being a hatch, don't get in your way, unlike the Mazda where you couldn't see out of. The Mazda you really sat low in and you couldn't really see up over things. This, you sit pretty high and kind of look over everything, kind of like a crossover, honestly. It feels really good. I really like the driving and seating position in this vehicle. We won't be pushing it too hard today because it's raining. It's quick. Does get a little raspy in the higher RPMs. Transmission shifts good. If you really start hustling this thing around, you'll find that it's not that sporty. This car looks a lot sportier than it performs, that's for sure. The transmission will get kind of confused, and it does have that raspy 4-cylinder a little bit. I will say, daily driving, this is perfect. This is great. This is way better than the Civic non-hybrid and the Mazda for sure, just driving around town. Then here on the highway, you got Highway Driving Assist 2, which is part of that $2,200 technology package. Comes with adaptive cruise control, lane centering, and also on mapped highways, it does have lane change assist as well. I'm not near a mapped highway at the moment due to my incredible filming location. But you know what you would do if you wanted to initiate a lane change, you would just hit your turn signal like this, and it would assist you with that lane change. You look in the blind spots for you, steer you over to the next lane, and then turn off the turn signal just fine. You really don't have to do anything, just keep your hands on the wheel. The Kia Hyundai Highway Driving Assist system is the best hands-on driving systems in the market today, in my opinion. I think they work really well, and the fact that you get Highway Driving Assist 2 with the lane change assist here for less than a Honda Civic and less than a Mazda 3, at least the top trim, that's pretty good. Handling is okay. The way I would best describe the handling in this vehicle is you got Mazda, the most fun to drive. You got the Toyota Corolla, which is the least fun to drive. And then in the middle, you have the Honda Civic, which blends the Mazda and Toyota together. And I would think that this lands smack dab in the middle between the Toyota and the Honda. So I think that's the best analogy to put that. And it's not to say that you can't, have some fun with this on some back roads, but it's definitely not as fun and engaging to drive as a Honda Civic and Mazda 6 or Mazda 3 hatchback. One thing I did want to note is the range. When I fill this thing up, I'm about like 330, 340 miles until empty. So I'm just constantly at the gas station. Not that this thing gets terrible fuel economy. Like I said earlier, I mean, I've driven this 855 miles and I've gotten 29.7 miles a gallon. And that's not awful. But with that small tank, I mean, you're just constantly at the gas station. I touched on this earlier that, everybody's been complaining about the climate controls being right here, but as I'm sitting, and I'm not sure if the camera picks it up properly, like I can adjust everything I need to right here with the touch of a button. I got my defrost. If it's starting, the windows start to get fogged up, my rear defrost, something stinks, I can just turn on recirc, turn on AC, everything I need to have is within the push of a button. Let's do a quick turning radius test here. Actually, not too bad at all. All right, let's do a quick 0 to 60. Come to a complete stop. Brakes feel really good. And floor it. Hopefully we get traction. Power builds up nicely. Throttle response is extremely good. This honestly feels as responsive as a naturally aspirated engine. And then, at the higher RPMs, the turbo kicks in and really pulls you. I mean, it's really, really good powertrain here. One thing I did want to point out is the mirrors. You do have blind spot monitoring in the mirrors, and they're actually like pretty long. Like for a car mirror, it's got that little extension on the side, like a little wing. And that little wing helps out so much with visibility. I mean, whoever designed that, really good job. Kudos to that. I mean, that makes a world of difference, honestly. So I don't say this too often in a lot of my videos, but this is definitely one press car I don't want to give back. And Kia's gonna have to pry this out of my hands, sadly. I appreciate the extension on the loan, and I can't say this enough that this is one heck of a vehicle for the price you pay. All right, guys, I think that wraps up the review on the all-new 2026 Kia K4 Hatch. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this vehicle. This may win car of the year. I mean, I know it's March. We still have, several months to go, but, for the price, this is going to be very, very hard to beat. Like I said, if I was looking for a vehicle right now, and I kind of wish I was, if I didn't like my daily driver so much, this would be in the garage for sure, bar none. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the review, and we'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. All right, so I'm starting to do my driving impressions towards the end. Let me know how you think it stacks up against the competition. The, Toyota Corolla, the Mazda Civic, the Honda Civic,